Erev Tov Rabotai, we are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Yevamot. We are up to Perek Vav Mishnah Daled. Today's Mishnayot should be Leilun Nishmat Neria ben Svetlana, Ranbai Eliyahu ben Burcha Yisrael ben Chana bat Miriam, Menuchatam began Eden, Amen, Leavdei ben Chaim Lachaim v'Refuah Shelema Daniel Shalom ben Rosa Betor Shah Cholei Israel. The Mishnah lists women who are prohibited to a Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol lo yisa almana. Kohen Gadol may not marry a widow. Ben almana mina erusin, ben almana mina nisuin, whether she is a widow from the erusin stage of marriage or a widow from the nisuin stage of marriage. Since a woman is considered married even during the erusin period and needs to get to leave her husband, she is considered a widow when he dies and is therefore forbidden to a Kohen Gadol. Besides prohibiting a Kohen Gadol to marry a widow, the Torah also instructs him to marry only a virgin, meaning if he marries after he is appointed Kohen Gadol, he must marry a virgin, as the Torah says, Vu isha biftulei yikach, that he must take a woman who is a virgin, prat le bogeret shekalu bitulea. We're going to see this excludes a bogeret, which her virginity starts becoming diminished. This obviously excludes any woman who cohabited with a man. Like we said, the Mishnah now teaches who else is excluded. V'lo yisait bogeret, a Kohen Gadol may also not marry a bogeret, even if she never cohabited with a man. A girl is considered physically mature when she reaches the age of 12 and has at least 2 pubic hairs. At this point, she enters a state called Na'arut. The Na'arut state lasts for 6 months, after which she achieves the final stage of adulthood called Bakrut. A girl in the Bagrut state is called a Bogeret. From the beginning of the stage of Bagrut, the physical signs of virginity naturally begin to diminish, even if she never cohabited. And therefore, she may not become married to a Kohen Gadol because she is no longer considered fully a virgin. Again, from that Pasuk, Vu isha biftulei yikach. Now, an opposing view, Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shimon machshrin b'bogeret. Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shimon consider a bogeret fit to marry a Kohen Gadol. In their view, the Torah excludes only a woman who is not a virgin at all, but permits a Kohen Gadol to marry a partial virgin, namely a bogeret. The Rav does tell us, Velet ilchata kevatar, the Halacha does not follow the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shimon. All agree about the following: Lo yisad mukat etz, he may not marry a woman who is struck by a piece of wood in a way that destroys the signs of her virginity, since the signs of her virginity have been completely destroyed by this blow. Even Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shimon agree that she is forbidden to a Kohen Gadol. Now, struck by wood is merely an example. Any blow is treated the same way. The Mishnah now clarifies the point at which a Kohen Gadol becomes forbidden to marry a widow. Eras et almana, if an ordinary Kohen betrothed the widow, V'nitmana liot Kohen Gadol, and he was then appointed to be Kohen Gadol before completing the marriage. Yichnos, he may marry her fully, meaning he may complete his marriage to her. Since the first stage of marriage, Erusin, took place while she was still permissible to him, he is allowed to complete the marriage. The Gemara learns this from a verse. Now, an incident that supports this ruling, Umaaseh b'Yoshua ben Gamla, shekideshet Malta bat Baitos. It once happened that Yehoshua ben Gamla betrothed the widow named Malta, the daughter of Baitos, while he was an ordinary Kohen. Uminawa melech liot Kohen Gadol, and the king then appointed him to be the Kohen Gadol, uchnasah, and he married her fully, meaning he completed his marriage to her. The Mishnah now contrasts its ruling regarding a widow who was already betrothed to a Kohen before he was appointed Kohen Gadol with the law of a widow who merely has a Yibum bond with him. Shomeret Yavam shenafla lifnei Kohen Ediot, if a woman awaiting Yibum fell to her husband's brother while he was an ordinary Kohen, v'nitmana liot Kohen Gadol, and the brother was then appointed to be Kohen Gadol before he performed Yibum. She was married to a Kohen who died without children, leaving her for Yibum to his brother who was at the time an ordinary Kohen. This brother was then appointed Kohen Gadol. Afal pisha sabah ma'amar, even if he had already performed ma'amar with her before becoming Kohen Gadol, then he may not marry her in Yibum once he is appointed Kohen Gadol. Instead, he must give her a get to release her from the ma'amar and perform chalitza to end the Yibum attachment. A Yibum ban is not considered even a first stage marriage on the biblical level, and even ma'amar is not effective on the biblical level. Therefore, the Kohen Gadol is forbidden to perform Yibum with her, since on the biblical level she is simply a widow who was not previously married to him. Now, if he was already the Kohen Gadol when his brother died, Kohen Gadol shemet achiv, in the case of a Kohen Gadol whose brother died, so that his widow felt him for Yibum consideration, choletz velo me'abem, the Kohen Gadol must perform chalitza benad Yibum, since he may not marry a widow. Although the Mishnah already stated that a Kohen Gadol may not perform Yibum, and now it stresses that he must perform chalitza instead. Otherwise, we might have assumed that chalitza too may not be performed, because this involves the Yevamah spitting at her Yavam, like it says in chapter 12, Mishnah 6, which seems beneath the dignity of a Kohen Gadol. Therefore, the Mishnah tells you, no, he must perform chalitza. And that is in a Mishnah Daled. Mishnah, he continues, Kohen Ediot lo Isa Ilunit. An ordinary Kohen may not marry an Ilunit. An Ilunit is a woman who will never physically mature, meaning she does not grow pubic hairs, nor does she develop the physical characteristics of a mature woman. So this shows that she can never have children. Elim ken yesh lo isha o banim, unless he has another wife who can bear children, or he already has children. Jewish men are obligated to have children, as it says in Sefer Bereshit, chapter 1, verse 28, be fruitful and multiply. Therefore, he may not marry an Ilunit, since he cannot fulfill his obligation with her unless he already has children or is married to another woman who can have children. Now, this law applies to any Jew, whether Kohen or not. The Mishnah mentions that a Kohen because of the upcoming ruling of Rabbi Yehuda, which applies only to a Kohen. Rabbi Yehuda disagrees. Rabbi Yehuda says, Af al pi sheyesh lo isha o banim, even if the Kohen has another wife or children, lo isa Ilunit, he still may not marry an Ilunit. She's Zonah Amura b'Torah, because she is the Zonah mentioned in the Torah. The Torah forbids a Kohen to marry a Zonah in Sefer Vayikra, chapter 21, verse 7. In Rabbi Yehuda's opinion, the term Zonah includes a woman who is incapable of having children. Now, Zonah means a promiscuous woman. Rabbi Yehuda takes this to refer to an Ilunit, because in Scripture it says in Hosea chapter 4, verse 10, they will be promiscuous but will not proliferate, have children. According to Rabbi Yehuda, this implies that cohabitation with any woman who cannot possibly have children is considered promiscuous. Therefore, since an Ilunit is incapable of having children, she is regarded as a Zonah and is forbidden to a Kohen. Now, Rabbi Yehuda's definition applies only to a woman who can never have children. He agrees that a Kohen can marry a girl too young to have children, or a woman too old to have children, since these women are or were able to have children. Now, according to Rabbi Yehuda, a Kohen may never marry an Ilunit, even if he already has children or is married to another woman who can have children, because he considers her a Zonah, and a Kohen is forbidden to marry a Zonah. Now, the sages disagree with Rabbi Yehuda's definition of a Zonah, but the sages say, En Zonah el Gioret umshuchreret v'nisheniv'ala b'ilat znut. A Zonah is only a female convert, a Canaanite slave woman who was freed, or a woman who was engaged in a forbidden act of cohabitation, meaning a regular Jew was cohabited with the man forbidden to her under biblical law, such as an erva or a mamzer. However, the Rav does point out, if an unmarried woman cohabits with the man she is allowed to marry, she does not become a Zonah. And just regarding the case of the Canaanite slave woman, as a general rule, idolaters and slaves were promiscuous, therefore their children are classified by the Torah as Zonah. And that is the Rabotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen v'amen.